Cool. Okay. Hey, everyone. So I am presenting the crowd-governed esports league. So the narrow problem, basically the problem in the esports sector, is that esports teams don't have a voice in league administration, and that leads to unethical behavior by league admins. And fans also feel left out, and they feel unhappy about the unethical behavior. The broader problem is that human coordination and governance is a really big problem as a whole in human society. There's low participation and low effectiveness. So we can solve that, we solve a lot of problems. So what exactly are we doing? We're basically building the NBA, NFL, or FIFA, but for esports and fully democratic. And we're doing this on the Ethereum blockchain for its transparency and security. So the NBA and NFL already lets teams vote on league decisions, and it works really well. But we're going to extend that to everyone, and we're going to do it for esports. So this is good for teams because there's additional incentive alignment between the teams in the leagues, and they get a voice in the league operations. The players feel good about this because there's less chance for player abuse with smart contracts. It's good for fans because they have more of a voice and input in the league. And it's good for investors because they have a voice in the league that they invest in. So what have we done? So far, we've tested fan voting through a team we ran. We got about 400 votes, which is about 10 to 11 times the normal engagement. The team itself has been very successful. We just qualified for some tournaments. We've done interviews with like top 10 teams in the world. They've been really interested in this, and they're interested in playing in our league. And we've received $150,000 of pre-seed funding from Village Global. So roadmap. We've already completed the voting test. Next, we're going to run a VR league and iterate on the crowd governance methods. We're going to be giving people more power over time. The first stage of this is going to take about 2 to 3 months, and we're going to raise seed funding off of it. And then our world domination stage, basically, is to generalize this and basically be able to assimilate other industries and other companies into this DAO crowd voting system. And make sure that people can have a voice in operations of all industries, not just esports.
Great, thanks. So a couple of thoughts. I mean, just as a comment, I would say that if you just become successful in even one sports league, that's going to be a pretty big deal, right? So
yeah,
not to question the ambition, but that would be a big
right. Yeah.
So a couple of questions. So are you envisioning any uses for the currency or the crypto besides voting? For example, prediction market style things, you might call them bets if they're legal in a particular jurisdiction, or, fantasy football like things, but
yeah.
Sports. How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so betting is a huge thing. So we definitely have been thinking about that. The problem with that is that regulation-wise, it's really complicated. Mm-hmm. So the best thing we think we can do outside of voting right now is sort of a tipping system where fans can tip their favorite players with their tokens. And then in return, they can get some sort of like NFT of their favorite player or favorite team.
Got it. And do you have a particular initial few, games that you're particularly targeting? You're targeting the developers of those games? For this?
Yeah, so we've been talking to I can't say the exact names, but we've been talking to the developers of 2 VR games that are really interested in just working directly with us.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I ask is it's sometimes non-trivial to retrofit an existing game for something as new as this. For example, Greg Brockman of Stripe recently wrote up how challenging it was for him to instrument Dota for kind of like AI, to be able to play the game automatically. So you might consider talking to a publisher about, a low risk new edition of an existing game that has your crypto functionality built into it.
The nice thing about starting in VR is that because everything's so new, we can develop alongside the games as they're also getting started.
Okay.
And we can be like super native to them.
Yeah, I think that first game will be really critical. An interesting concept would be something like DLC for crypto.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right, where and in fact, just as a shtick, you might make it something that DLC could be bought with a bunch of different cryptos, so sort of enriches for the kind of audience, right? There's just some comments and thoughts. I think this is interesting, and I think the governance of something like sports or esports is is a good place to start for kind of, quote, not exactly real world crypto governance, but crypto governance outside of the governance of crypto networks, because relatively lower stakes since it's just a game. So those are just my comments.
Cool.
Great. Oh, there's a question from the live stream. How do you ensure fairness in voting? How do you ensure that it isn't just that the richest bidder always wins?
Yeah, so that's like a pretty unsolved problem just in voting in general. Our answer to that is we're going to be trying a lot of different things. So we're going to start with just like straight voting, which basically, yeah, the richest person is probably going to win. But we're going to move on to things like quadratic voting, where we take like the square root of the number of votes you're putting in to try to make it more fair. We obviously don't know whether it's going to work or not because that's never really been put into action. But yeah, that's like what we're trying to do, figure out how to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, like the way that Augur, it's it's in the middle of its run. Augur's thesis is it's not just the richest bidder per se, but it's the largest stakeholders in the network, and so it's not just how much wealth you have; it's how much quote equity or aligned interest you have in the system to kind of make good decisions. So that's at least a long-term way that could mitigate just wealth per se. It's more like alignment. But okay. Thank you.